Let's talk about this series begrudgingly because Mike, I'll be candid with you. I mean, as you know, I love the Celtics, but I was not looking for them to beat the Wizards the other night because I just wanted. It wasn't like, oh, you're rooting against them tonight. I wanted nothing to do with the Nets in round one, and it's not even because of how offensively potent they are, and obviously it's just an obscene amount of talent. Even though they don't play defense, they can score the ball like crazy. It was just the I can't stomach, losing in ugly fashion, getting swept or losing in five
Yeah.
to Kyrie Irving, in part. And also to the Nets team that, you made that trade with that we were laughing for years at Brooklyn, and now they've lapped you at this point. It's not necessarily through fault of the Celtics. Some things, including Kyrie, have gone wrong along the way, and Gordon Hayward and the injuries and a number of different things. Obviously there's been some bad luck in addition to some roster mismanagement at points as well, and we've spent an extensive amount of time on this show in the past talking about that, including with Gary Washburn really dissecting it on last week's show. But this is the matchup nobody wanted. I think it's going to be very painful to watch. In some ways I think I might have been happier watching this team land in the lottery and just losing in the play-in than what the series against Brooklyn could wind up looking like. Can you make me feel better?
Well, I do think there is one way for the Celtics to win the series, and that is for Brooklyn to implode. And I don't think that's out of the question. Durant, Harden, and Kyrie have not played a lot of minutes together. They certainly have not played meaningful minutes together. And it's going to be interesting. Harden is the key, I think, to the whole thing, because Harden's going to control the ball and where the ball goes. And can he keep Kyrie happy? Can he keep Durant happy? Can he keep himself happy? Who's going to take the big shot? Is it automatically going to be Durant, or is it going to be the ball never gets beyond Kyrie, or does James Harden get it back and shoot it himself, which he's done very well in his career? So anyway, in terms of talent, they got tons of talent. They seem to have good coaching. Steve Nash has turned out to be a pretty good coach in his first go around. So again, I think the only way for them to lose is if they suddenly just implode and they lose a game, they steal a game, the Celtics steal a game early. One of the first two in Brooklyn would be ideal. And then I'll have them really start thinking about how good they are and how they're going to win games. And that'll be interesting to see. Can the Celtics just go out and beat them 145 to 140? I don't think so. It's going to take 60 out of Jason for that to happen.
So that being said, how do you expect this to play out?
I'd like to see the Celtics get one game.
Mm-hmm.
My guess 5, 6 at the most. And again, unless these guys implode, or unless these guys suddenly decide they don't want to play on a particular game for whatever reason, because it's raining outside. I don't know, but they seem to come up with a lot of reasons all season long to not show up. So
just 8 total games together, these 3.
Yeah. And what was the record?
That I don't know.
It's not good.
That up. It's a good question.
I think it's less than 500.
Surprising.
But yeah,
they could. The injury thing's always going to be there, and with Durant and how he's nursed his Achilles back, and Kyrie's had a litany of injury problems we know about, and Harden, who's kind of reliable, but in the playoffs has been kind of a no-show, pending on the year. It could be very interesting. Again, I'm with you guys. I'm not sure if it's going to go too far. I think just the offensive firepower. You talk about who do you stop, and Harden's, is the guy you key in on because he has the ball, but stopping him isn't easy. I got asked the other night, what defensively would you do? And I was like, I'm not sure if I'm really qualified to answer this question. But I would tell you that not one single thing is going to work. You're going to have to be multiple. You're going to have to make them guess and make them think and slow them down a little bit, because if they're playing at a high pace, you're definitely not going to win. You have to slow them down. You have to make them think. And even if it's, you go to a zone, you go to some sort of trap or a box one or something, and just make them slow down, look at everything, think for a minute, and maybe you can steal a couple of possessions here and there. It's going to be a numbers game. Tatum's going to have to be out of his mind. Kemba's going to have to play the way Kemba's been playing recently. You're going to need a big Fournier.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah, and you have Kyrie not calling out, but Kyrie wants the Kemba Walker matchup, and that'll be fun. But they're going to need some contributions from other guys, and they're going to probably need some contributions from some of the younger guys that just got here. I mean, Neesmith's been fantastic. You're going to need that energy especially if they don't have Robert Williams. Peyton Pritchard, the way he picks guys up, 3-quarter court or full court. I love that. I love just seeing somebody just be a pest for 18 to 20 minutes he's on the floor. They're going to need all that stuff. And then a little bit of luck here and there too, to have a chance. I'm with you guys, 6 games at the most. But I want to see them play well. I really don't care the result. I would like just to see what we saw against Washington the other night, where I saw an engaged team for 48 minutes. And a team that brought energy, they had little lapses here and there, but we didn't see that all year. We didn't see a team that was fully engaged.
Never. They never seemed to have a sense of urgency about anything. They did against Washington, obviously, the other night, and I hope they can continue to play that way. That will at least make this series competitive. If they don't play that way, these guys will beat the Celtics by 40 because they have so much firepower. But I really don't see that happening. One thing that, not to make excuses for the Celtics, but nobody's talking about the fact that Jaylen Brown is gone. And Jaylen is not like a 15-point per game guy. He's a 25-point per game guy. That's a ton of points that we're losing. That is very difficult with the current roster we have to make up. Fournier is going to have to play a big role. And he has played well of late, so I think that's going to be a help.
Jaylen does a decent job on Durant, if I remember as well. He's not afraid of taking that matchup, even though Durant's, this other world scorer. I believe he's held his own recently against Durant.
Yeah, Walker and Fournier, though, have to play well. And have to be 20 to 30-point scorers in each game, and then let Jason go for 35 and add them up at the end and see what happens. But the problem with these guys, when you add them up at the end, they have 150 or something.
Yeah.